what I thought I'd do now is talk about a different part of the world and some of the impacts there. Do you remember the kid eating the sweet potato? Well, this is tied to that, and just to show you that I'm not completely making all this stuff up. Now, the two main imports that I would talk about that are worth talking about in China are the sweet potato, which is off on the left, and maize, again, which is off on the right. Both were present in China by within decades of Columbus's arrival. And the interesting thing about China is that if you look at this map here, you see that there's very little of China actually that is green and well watered. It's basically got these two huge rivers, the Yellow River Huanghe, as it's more commonly called now, and the Yangtze River, and the rest of it is dry uplands. And this is a problem because Chinese agriculture depends on rice, which needs a lot of water. So that there's really not very much, if you see how big China is, there's not very much of it in which you can grow rice. And so this continuing preoccupation for all these Chinese dynasties is, what do we do about the fact that there's no land for us to grow any crops on? Well, the interesting thing about the sweet potato and maize is they can grow in absolutely terrible conditions, and they grow in real desert conditions, and for that reason they're grown everywhere. If you go anywhere especially in poor neighborhoods in China, you have guys like this, and you go into the desert, and this is an extremely common scene. This is at the edge of Mongolia, where people are basically farming a beach. And the amazing thing is they're actually getting something out of it. Now, this wave of sweet potatoes and corn went from east to west up in the highlands. And because the Chinese had never planted these kind of crops before, they made beginner's mistakes. And one of them, I think we probably, from a temperate zone, know that it's maybe not such a good idea to cut all the trees down on a hillside because this would cause erosion. It's not, and if you are going to plant something you don't want to put the rows vertically because that sort of funnels the water down. You want to plant them, horizontally this way. And they did this over, many, many millions of acres, and the result was a continuing series of environmental catastrophes. This has been continuing to the present day. One of the amazing things is that even though this caused these huge calamities, and as one Chinese researcher put it to me, they had a Katrina a month in the 19th century, and it led to the collapse of the Qing dynasty. Mao went right ahead and did the exact same thing. And so in the 60s, this area that I went to, they carved up these hills around the Yellow River into these fabulously beautiful terraces. Here's a vintage photograph from '65. It looks like this today. They're this sort of wedding cake kind of effect. But this is how you maintain them. They're all just dirt, and so every time after it rains, these guys get out with the shovels and pat them back into shape. And you can see over time that this is going to cause massive erosion and fill up the rivers and cause huge floods. And the kind of floods that you're talking about, the Chinese government really doesn't like to talk much about this, but we can know from historical records what they're like. And so there's these books of Chinese floods where they will go through all the local historical county records, and they compile them like this. And this is obviously very hard to read, but these are the areas that in this 1 year of China were hit by prolonged, severe, catastrophic floods in the dark purple areas, and then the sort of lighter areas in between are areas that had just week-long floods. So what you're looking at is an enormous environmental catastrophe that killed millions of Chinese people. That was sort of triggered by by Columbus in this sort of long series of events. And this is all my way of giving you some examples to try and convince you that even as we're reading today about the flow of global capital and important all that is, that underneath it are these environmental things that really are continuing to the present day and are really important and worth paying attention to, and also interesting.